Yeah, I'm ready. You can just
Okay,
start.
then
Yeah,
can I take 1 minute to introduce you?
yeah, no problem.
Okay. Again, Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everybody. As you can see, today's workshop is going to be presented by Brother Yahya Alghamdi, who is the Academic Writing Center's director and a writing specialist and an English language instructor at the English Language Institute at King Abdulaziz University. Mr. Yahya got his master's degree in curriculum and instructions and literacy development with a specialization in TESOL. He is interested in research topics related to cognitive development in the first language and its role in second language learning. He instructed second language acquisition and the development of second language, especially English academic writing. Before this presentation, he presented on essay writing basics, essay writing planning, structure, organization, transitions, and connections in academic writing, sentence types in academic writing. And today's workshop, as you can see, is going to be about common mistakes in academic writing. So if you're ready, the floor is yours, Brother Yahya. You can start.
All right. Thank you so much, brother Mr. Hanal, for this introduction, and welcome everyone to this workshop, and which is the last actually workshop in this trimester, which is going to be about common mistakes in academic writing. All right. So this is the outline of our workshop. So as you know that uh, there are so many problems and issues that students, writers do commit uh, mistakes in academic writing, but because the short time of this workshop, I'm not going to go over everything, so I just pointed on certain issues that mostly can be committed by academic writers and students. So here we will focus on grammar and punctuation, and specifically types of the most common grammar mistakes. And we will look at sentence fragment, run-on sentences, subject-verb agreement, parallel structure, tenses, and punctuation. So these are normally the most common uh, mistakes or issues where students make mistakes in academic writing. All right. So let's move. So here, why do you think grammar and punctuation are important? Could you please share with me in the chat box some of your ideas? Why do you think punctuation and grammar are so important in writing specifically? If you can just share few words just to get started. Why is it important? Why we have to learn grammar and punctuation? Any ideas? Any answers? So, yes, to write better, exactly, Mr. Abdulaziz. Bad usage can affect grades and comprehension. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Comprehension is very important here. And to deliver the information correctly, this is another important thing. Productive skills is complicated. Yeah. So, yes, is there someone who want to deliver meaningful message? This is a wonderful answer, exactly. So grammar and punctuation, they kind of like work, hand by hand. Okay, we cannot separate one from another. We have to learn them both. We cannot say that grammar is more important than punctuation or the otherwise. Exactly. So crucial for intelligibility. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Rida. I agree with you. So let's look at some of the things that I have found. So here grammar is a set of rules that facilitate communication. So in order to communicate very well, we have to put some grammatical rules on our writing. Okay, so grammar can change the meaning, as some of you might pointed out. When there is a problem with our grammar, the meaning might change. So for example, I cannot say I lost my keys and I have lost my keys and mean the same thing. Okay, so they both, okay, kind of have the same idea, but they are still different from each other. Okay, so different tenses, different grammatical rules have different meanings. And we have to learn, and we are going to learn, inshallah, together, how to differentiate between things that takes place in the past. Okay, how to represent them, how to write sentences. Okay, to get exactly the meaning you want to communicate. In punctuation, it's also essential in understanding the intended, okay, meaning. Okay, so punctuation like commas, full stops, question marks, semicolons, colons, exclamation marks, all of them are very important. And we cannot just type and write without using them. So in general, don't worry about these. Okay, all of these rules are finite, okay, and they can be learned. It's easy to learn them, but they need more practice. So these are some of the most common grammar mistakes, okay, that I have mostly seen my students committing during their uh, essay writing, uh, during their exams, okay. So here, the first one is sentence fragment. Fragment when there is something missing from the sentence. Okay, for example, we know that a full sentence should have at least a subject and a verb. Okay, so when there is something missing from these parts, we call it sentence fragment. Additionally, we also have run-on sentences, and these run-on sentences, okay, they keep going and going without stopping. Okay, so as you start from the first sentence, you go to the last sentence in the paragraph. Okay, and there are no full stops, no commas, no punctuation. Tenses is also another problem, like what we have seen in the previous examples. I lost my keys and I have lost my keys. So these are two different things. Subject-verb agreement also is another issue. Parallel structure, okay, and finally punctuation. So let's start with the first important thing here, which is a sentence. So we need to understand what is a sentence, okay, so we can get started in a proper way. So a sentence is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. So these are very important components and expresses a complete thought. Okay, so there should be there must be a subject and a verb, and there has to be a complete thought, okay, complete meaning, something that is understandable that you are going to communicate. And also each paragraph, so we are talking here about essays, long writing. In each paragraph, there should be a group of sentences. Okay, so look how it gets bigger and bigger. And finally here, each sentence must contain at least one independent clause. Uh, this is very important in a sentence, okay? At the level of a sentence, an independent clause should have a subject and a verb, and it communicates a complete thought, okay? And I have presented previously the type of sentences. I think you can look at it on our YouTube channel. You will find it under the title, uh, Sentence Types in Academic Writing. All right, so here, these are some errors, okay, causes or factors. Why do people or students commit errors? There are some theories, behind these errors or mistakes, and one of them, one of these causes is overgeneralization. So learners, when they start learning English, okay, they start learning some basic rules, okay, but when they came into a situation, okay, where they have no background, they cannot, uh, for example, formulate a sentence or produce a sentence, they start, applying what they have learned to another thing to fit that situation, okay. So, for example, they don't know how to make a sentence using the present perfect. They use the past simple because that's the one they have learned. So they apply different rules in different situations. Okay, it's like babies when they start learning the first word. Okay, they learn to say Baba or Daddy. Okay, and they made like a representation with the word, okay, to that person. When they see someone who is a male, okay, they use the same word to that person. So this is what overgeneralization is actually, okay, is. Another thing is interference. Okay, interference. So there should be two languages, the first language and the second language. Okay, so both in languages, they start to interfere with each other. Okay, so learners start to use some rules from their first language and apply it to the second language, which might not, be appropriate or might not be acceptable. Okay, which causes mistakes. Exactly. Yeah, the formation of past forms. I do agree with you. Okay, so these kind of interferences comes from first language when someone starts to learn a second language. Okay, but these are all called, okay, temporary, temporarily, mistakes or errors, and as they start improving on the second language, they will, okay, go away. They will be, overcome. They will be uh, reduced. All right, and fossilization, yeah, this is another issue. So the last thing here is the lack of knowledge. So when someone doesn't have knowledge, he starts to find some way, okay, to apply a knowledge. Okay, so he start to, especially adult language learners, they start to use different theories, apply different ideas just to fit in these gaps of their knowledge. Yes, errors versus mistakes. Yeah, errors and mistakes are not actually the same. Okay, an error sometimes is fossilized. It is there. We cannot remove it until we learn. Okay, or someone else can teach us. But a mistake, I could make a mistake, but I know that this is a mistake, and I come back and edit it, okay, or correct it. But errors, they need to be, mastered and learned. All right, let's start with the first thing here with our mistakes, which is sentence fragment. Okay, so we mentioned previously that a fragment means that there is something missing in a sentence. So think of these sentences, okay, and what went wrong with them. So the first one here, as you can see, so there is no subject. I cannot say shows no improvement in. So here we are missing a subject. Can someone in the chat box tell me what can we use to make this a true statement? What's the right subject that we can use to fit this sentence and make it, a complete sentence? shows. Okay, so how can we edit it? Your performance shows no improvement in your skills. Exactly, your performance. So here we added a subject. Your essay shows no improvement in your skills. Yep. So a fragment here is because it missed a subject. It doesn't seem a correct sentence. Yes, this shows no improvement in your skills. This could be another one. Exactly. And the second statement here, it's a time of wonder and amazement. So here we are lacking a verb. There is no verb here, and I cannot make a sentence without adding a verb. So the right verb here, as Mr. Rida said, is the verb be, which is the is. Okay, so we say it is a time of wonder and amazement, which is going to be a full sentence or a meaningful sentence. Okay, and the last one here, after I finish the project, then what? So there's something missing here. I cannot express myself fully when I say after I finish the project, but I should add some details to make it meaningful. So I would say, yeah, exactly. We need a dependent sentence. This is a dependent clause actually. We need an independent clause. I need to add some information, some details to express myself. So I will, yeah, I will let you know after I finish the project. Exactly. Wonderful. Yes. After I finish the project, I will go walking. After I finish the project, I will have my dinner. I will make a party. So all these information, okay, complement what I just missed, okay, which is after I finish that project. Okay, so here are some examples of fragments which are commonly, okay, made by language learners. Okay, so I will give you an example here, and I will give you 2 minutes to think about it. So please do not type anything on the chat box until I tell you to do so. So read those sentences, think about them, okay? Not now, Mr. Rida, just give the others time to think, okay? Let's give them time to think. Read them, try to apply what you have just learned, and try to correct these sentences. Okay, so there are 3 things. The first one is missing a subject or a verb. The second one, remind me, what was the second one? So either missing the subject, missing the verb, or it doesn't stand alone. The sentence doesn't stand alone. So we have to add additional information. Okay, you can now start typing your answers. Just write the number of the sentence followed by the correct missing part. Okay, one is, so where do we put is? My name is. So here we are missing the verb. In number 1, we are missing the verb. Okay, what about the others? We need other participants here. Okay, number 2, this is the greatest news I've ever heard. Yes, exactly. What about number 3? We have Barcelona, one of the most important clubs in the world. Are showing now. This is number 4, Yusuf. Can you do number 3? Number 3 is, yeah, Barcelona is one, exactly. And number 4, participants showing now improvement. Participants showing now improvement. I would say no improvement here. So participants are showing no improvements. Exactly. And the last one, if I know his number. So here, this is still missing some information. Okay. So what happened if I know his number? Yes, I would what? Yes, I'd call him, exactly. If I know his number, I would call him. Very good, Yusuf. Yes, Salim. Exactly. If only I knew his number, I would call him. So, yes. So here are the answers. Okay, so you did well, mashallah. Wonderful. All right, so here, these are some issues that we might see, okay, in academic writing. So the first one is run-on sentence. So here, it means when two or more independent clauses are connected incorrectly. So joining sentences together, okay, follow a specific or particular rule or rules. There are certain rules that we have to follow. If these rules aren't managed carefully, then we might end up with having run-on sentences. Okay. The second here, if we say Nasser has published another book, comma, this is the second book this year. What do you think? Can we say that this is a true sentence? How can I correct this sentence? We have to join them with something, with a connector, or we call it a linking word. So I would say, Nasser has published another book, so this is his second book this year. Okay, so there should be a linking word. Yes, we use so to connect the sentences. Nasser has published his second book. Yes, we might put it in two separate sentences, but we have to make a full stop before the previous one. Okay, or separated by a full stop, or even we can put a semicolon like what we will learn here. Okay, the third, here we have using a period, or we call it a full stop. So here we put a full stop, okay, once we, okay, wrote a sentence that communicates a full thought, meaningful, okay, has all the parts, necessary parts. So we shouldn't let that sentence, okay, like floating alone within the paragraph, but we should have to put a full stop. So participant could leave the study at any time. This is a full sentence, so there is a full stop here. They needed to indicate their preference, and this is also another full sentence. Okay. And also, a semicolon is another kind of a punctuation that we might use in our writing, okay, especially for advanced academic writing. So the university established new work rules for social distancing at work. The other sentence here, or the other part, this has been an issue since the spread of the pandemic coronavirus. So if you can notice why these were separated with a semicolon, you will find that both of them, okay, are independent, okay, and they carry full meaning, but they are still connected to each other, okay. They have a very strong connection, they relate to each other. So instead of putting a full stop or a comma, okay, there is something that is called a semicolon, which acts as a comma and as a full stop at the same time, okay. And we will learn as we go on how to use those punctuation marks. The comma, which is something common, we use it a lot, okay, but still some students, they commit some mistakes when using them. So we use a comma and a coordinating conjunction, okay, to make our writing understandable and clear, to communicate the right thing. For example, the writing center has two main functions, full stop. It helps the students on their writing, comma, what else? And it provides learning material to improve their language learning. Okay, so I added a comma here, followed by coordinated conjunction, which is and, connected them together. Okay, both are independent clauses. Okay, if I removed the and, okay, it might look like a run-on sentence. So here I'm solving this issue. So here we have a subject and a verb, and also on the second part we have a subject and a verb. So that's why we added a comma plus and. And the last thing is use subordinating conjunction. Like for example, because. We can say because my major is paramedicine, comma, I should learn how to communicate with patients. So the first part here is, we call it a dependent clause. It doesn't communicate a full thought. Therefore, I added another part, separating it with a comma. I should learn how to communicate with patients. This communicates a full thought, and it looks an independent clause. And these are the conjunctions that we can use, okay, in certain cases. Exactly, fanboys, yeah. Okay, so here are some examples of run-on sentences that I want you to work in, okay, correcting, using the previous learned material. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 things we have learned. If you want to take a screenshot of this slide so you can apply it to those questions, go ahead and do it now. So read those sentences and find out how we can correct them using those 4 strategies that we just learned. and just share your answers in the chat box. Tell me, how did you solve them? All right. So what do you think about the first one? This research examines the perception of students using online tools in the classroom, comma, the results were collected through online tools. So in the first sentence, the preposition of after students should be deleted. Okay, so this research examines the perception of students. Yes, I would agree with you. Okay, of using online tools, of students using online tools in the classroom. So what do you think? This looks like a run-on sentence. How can we solve it? Yes, either by putting a semicolon, okay, so this looks better than the previous one. Or also we can put a full stop here and start a new sentence. Okay. This research examines the perception of students using online tools. Yes, exactly. In the classroom, the results were collected through online tools. So you said that we should put a semicolon here. Nope. Online tools. So this is interesting. What if we put a semicolon here, okay, and a comma here? Would this communicate the same idea or the same thought? This research examines the perception of students using online tools. Sorry, should be here after tools. Okay. In the classroom, the results were collected through online polls. It doesn't make sense, or what? I would say it doesn't make sense. If I say in the classroom, the results were collected through online polls. Exactly, Mr. Reba. I do agree with you. So let's put it here. All right. This looks much meaningful. This research examines the perception of students using online tools in the classroom. So they are using the online tools inside the classroom. Okay. And the result of this research were collected through online polls. Okay. The second sentence, the professor said that he read my paper, comma, he has not yet graded it. So what do you think, guys? Another semicolon would fix the problem. Exactly. The professor said that he read my paper. Can I use a coordinated conjunction? Yes, exactly. We can say but or yet. but yet is already used. So I would say but, okay, could be another way. The movie was legendary. The director was nominated for the award of the best director of the year. So here, this comma is making a problem. Yes, I would use a coordinating conjunction. Exactly. So this is a relationship of cause effect. Okay, or semicolon also could work. So semicolons sometimes do work interchangeably with coordinating conjunctions. And finally, chocolate ice cream is delicious. The vanilla pudding tastes good. So I'm talking about two different things: chocolate ice cream, vanilla pudding. Because, yeah, I would use because. Anything else? Semicolon also. Yeah. So this could work. Or I would just put a semicolon, but because would work much properly. So let's see the answers on the next slide. So here we have full stop, and also we can use a semicolon. The second one, we added but. And number three, because the movie was legendary, comma, the director was nominated for the award of the best director of the year. Okay, so I could use it in different ways. Okay, this doesn't mean that your answers are not true, but as I've told you before, we can formulate our sentences in different ways and they still communicate the same meaning. Okay, but we have to be careful about that. And the last one here, we use a semicolon. Also, we can use because. Okay. All right. Now let's go to another issue here, which uh, is about tenses. Okay. So how to use present simple tense in academic papers. When we write an academic or an academic research or an article, okay, there are certain uses of the present simple. So the first one is to frame a paper, to do the layout of the paper, such as in an introduction and in the conclusion part. So here we have to use the present simple tense. Example, genomics provides crucial information for rational drug design. So provides here is my verb. And as you can see, it was formed in the simple present. Another one, to refer to general facts or interpretations about previous studies. Example, job satisfaction is the most extensively studied variable in organizational behavior research. So this is a fact, okay? And also I can use it when I'm trying to interpret what previous studies uh, have came up with. Additionally, to show agreement with the general results of a previous paper. Okay, so if you agree with what another researcher said, so this must be used in the present simple. Example, a 1999 meta-analysis of papers concerning the Mozart effect shows that the effect is not due to what the researchers originally speculated. Okay, So here I'm agreeing with the previous research finding. And the last one here is to explain diagrams and figures. So notice that when you are uh, in the data analysis section in your paper, when you want to analyze and describe the findings of your research, try always to use the present simple. Okay, we don't use it in the past, not in the future, not present perfect, just in the present simple. And this is an example. You can say figure 1 displays the comparative variation in the morphology of donor chromatin in both age groups of oocytes. Okay, exactly. And also in IELTS task 1, you are going to uh, describe a chart or a figure. So always use the present simple. All right, the past simple. It is used to talk about something or an action that started and ended or finished at a specific time in the past. For example, when I say, I watched a movie last night. So this means that the movie has already ended and I've already watched it, and we have nothing to do in the present with that. So this is what we call the past simple. Okay, to talk about an action that happened and ended at a specific time in the past. And it's very important to mention when this action took place. Additionally, we usually, have to put certain time expressions when we refer to the past simple. Like, for example, yesterday, last week, or we could use in 1997, previously, at that time. So just to mention when this action took place. Okay. How do we use the past simple in academic papers? So we have two things here. The first one is to introduce a specific study, usually completed by a named researcher. Okay, and this is an example. Probably the most commonly discussed phenomenon is in music is the Mozart effect. The most commonly discussed, phenomenon in music is the Mozart effect. General claim and specific claim. Rothschild and colleagues first documented the effect in their 1999 Nature paper. Okay, so here I used the past simple to report a finding that was published in 1993. But here, probably the most commonly discussed phenomenon in music is the Mozart effect. So this is a general claim, but here we have a specific claim. So look how they are both different from each other in terms of the verbs. The other way is to describe the methods and data of completed action or data collection or an experiment. Okay, so when we describe the methods, the data of completed action in our paper, and the data collection during the process itself, what happened, and the experiment, we use the past simple because we already performed that. For example, statistical analyses were used to determine relationships between variables. Were used. So this is what I have done to do, a determination of such relationships. I have already used those methods. Okay. The other tense here is the present perfect. So we started with the present simple, we moved to the past simple, and now the present perfect. And what I can say is that most students, okay, do make some common mistakes between the present perfect and the past simple. Okay, I have noticed many students are mixing, okay, between those two sentences. So let's look at the differences between them so we can learn how to avoid these mistakes in the future. So the present perfect is a completed action without mentioning specific point in time, and that action has relevance in the present. So it's an action started in the past and is connected with the present. So there are a relationship. Okay, it might still an ongoing action that hasn't ended. It might have, for example, I would say an effect. Okay, or yes, it's an effect. I would say an effect, something that happened, and it has an effect on the present. Okay, so we usually use with it used words like just, already, and recently. Okay, these can be used with the present perfect. For example, I have already finished my project. So my project started sometime in the past, but we don't know when it was started. I didn't mention when. Okay, but I understand that it has started sometime, and this guy have just finished it. Okay, so we use the word already, which means at this time. Also, we can use it with unspecified time before now, anytime. Like, for example, experience, change, time, accomplishments, an uncompleted action you are expecting, and multiple actions at different times. So these situations can also be used, okay, with the present perfect. Okay, and there are no specific time that I can say or tell when I'm describing this situation. And the last thing here is duration from the past until now. So I know the duration and I want to communicate it. For example, I have had a cold for 2 weeks. Okay, so there are 2 weeks here where I started having that cold until now, and it's still existing. The second one, she has been in England for 6 months. So she went to England 6 months ago, and she is still there. She hasn't moved. If I want to change those sentences to the past simple, I would say, I had a cold, okay, let's say 2 weeks ago. So this sentence is in the past simple. So look what are the differences between those two. I have had a cold for 2 weeks, and I had a cold 2 weeks ago. So this cold was ended, okay, 2 weeks ago. But on this sentence here, I'm still having that cold. All right? With since and for also exactly, we can use, okay, when we talk about specified time, okay, when these actions took place. All right. So how do you actually use the present perfect in your academic writing? We use it with experience, changes over time, accomplishments, uncompleted action you are expecting, and when there are multiple actions at different times. Okay, and these are some examples. An experience. I have been to France 3 times. So 3 times here. I don't know when, but I just want to say that they are 3 times. Okay, It's not important to mention when. The most important thing is to tell how many times. And here we have to use the present perfect. The other example, John has studied 2 foreign languages. So he already languages, okay, 2 foreign languages. Do we know when he started studying them? No, it's not important. The most important thing is that we know that he studied 2 languages, okay, and he can speak them. Changes over time. My English has already, or sorry, my English has really improved since I moved to Australia. So since here is also used with the present perfect to mention when I started doing a certain thing, or when certain things has started modifying or changing. Accomplishments. Our son has learned how to read. So he accomplished the reading. Okay? He has learned how to read. When? We don't know, but the most important thing is to know that he knows how to read. Okay, it's accomplishment. I have finished my degree, for example. I have finished my degree. I'm celebrating, I'm accomplishing my accomplishments. An uncompleted action you are expecting. For example, James hasn't finished his work yet, or homework yet. So he's still doing his homework. He might take an extra time, might be day, 1 day, 2 days, 1 hour, 2 hours. We don't know, okay? But we just want to communicate that he is still in an ongoing process. And the last thing here, when there are multiple actions at different times. So I would say the army has attacked the city 5 times over the period. I don't know how long, but there are 5 times, okay, of this attack. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Because it seems like those tasks are a little bit, challenging, I would say. They are not difficult, but they are challenging, and they do have some, certain interference with each other. The past simple and the past present perfect. Any questions?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, here. Hello.
Yes, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I can
It's
hear you.
great. Sometimes the distinction between past simple and present perfect gets blurred, and it's really hard to. I mean, like intermittent, multiple times actions, something unfinished, not completed yet. It happens over the years, over the time, and also likely to indicate the future also. Likely to indicate the future also.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
three
Like the
times.
one that we
Yeah, three
have.
times, and he might attempt fourth time, fifth time. Past simple,
Exactly.
yeah, is the narration in the past. Narratives. Mostly we use the past simple narratives where the action took place and it has no bearings the present.
Exactly. I agree 100% with what you have just mentioned. So we are just trying here to making it a little bit clearer, okay, by pointing on certain um, challenges and how to overcome them. And as I've mentioned before, practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the more you read, especially reading. If you want to improve your academic writing, you have to read. Read as much as you can. Read especially things that interest you the most. Okay, because when you are interested in something you read, okay, it will stick in your mind. This is my I would say $100 advice. All right, here is a short note. We need to limit the time we are referring to for an experience. We can do this with expressions such as in the last week, in the last year, this week, this month, so far up to now. Okay, so you can make this time a little bit shorter, just to make a start and an end, just to make a speculation, just to try to get the listener to a specific, duration. Okay, instead of saying I have traveled to France long time ago. Long time ago here is vague. We don't understand exactly. I cannot speculate. It might be a year, it might be 10 years, okay, but I would try to make it a little bit, shorter by saying I have traveled to France over the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years, sometime uh, during the last couple of years. So I'm trying to make it a little bit shorter. Okay. How to use present perfect tenses in academic writing. So when we introduce a new topic, to summarize previous research, studies, to indicate connection between the past and the present, and finally to tell the history of an idea, describe the results of research, or draw a conclusion. So these are the four, okay, places or situations where I can use the present perfect in my academic writing. Example here for a topic introduction, there has been a large body of research regarding blah, 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 okay? There has been. So research started in the past and they are still, ongoing, including myself doing my paper at this time, okay? Also, to summarize previous research studies, like some studies have shown that girls have significantly higher fears than boys after trauma, have shown. So I'm summarizing what a previous study, okay, found. So this is a result. I'm trying to summarize it and put it to my, include it in my study. And also to indicate a connection between the past and the present in terms of research. While these measures have proved to be reliable and valid predictors, comma, there is little data on how they relate to each other. So I'm trying to bring what other research in the past have came up with, plus what we currently are missing. What you mean, you know, the gap between what previous studies found and what we still need to figure out. So this kind of gap, okay, we can fill it with a sentence similar to this one. Okay, so present perfect plus present simple, both at the same sentence. And the last one here, the framework we have developed. Okay, so this is a past thing that we did, will be integrated in the future. Okay, so this is moving from the past to the future with the use of the assessment tool. Okay, is it clear now? You can take a screenshot because here I'm going to test your knowledge. So take a screenshot, understand those rules. So when we go there, we can start looking at them. Yes, there is. We will be sharing it, inshallah, soon once we are towards the end of this presentation. So complete the gap with either present simple, past simple, or present perfect. So I'm testing your knowledge on those three tenses, okay? And we have 4 sentences. We have the verbs in brackets, Try to use the right form, okay, that fits the context of the situation of this sentence. I'll give you 3 minutes, and please do not share your answers until I say so, so others can, think. I'll give you 2 more minutes. You could prepare the answers in your chat box, and once I say post, you just click on the post and it will appear so we can read it together. And don't forget, when you form the past tense of the verb, you know the right form, whether it is a regular verb that ends with ed or an irregular verb that we have to change the verb format. Okay. So time is up. Now show me your answers. So what do you think about number 1? In 1999, the new technological infrastructure of coal-powered electricity, and we have the verb led to greater productivity and sanitization of growing urban centers. So leads, share, is, grown, conduct. Leads. But we say it in 1999. This is an old date. Yeah, Abdulaziz. I cannot say leads because it's not a present. It's something in the past. So I would say led. And led here, okay, is an irregular verb. So we have to put it in a new format, which is led, led together, greater, okay? The second one, scholars share a common argument that engineering blank the most male-dominated profession. So what do you think, which tense? Some of you say this in the present perfect, okay? And others say it's in the present simple. I would say share. Scholars share a common argument that engineering is the most male-dominated profession. So this is a fact. I'm sharing a fact here. Let's look at the answers together. Okay. So let, share, is, okay. Number 3, the percentage of part-time faculty in higher education has grown considerably. So this is a change over time because we mentioned that over the last 40 years. Here we have a progress. We have a changing. So we have to use the present perfect. And the last one, we conducted a secondary data analysis. Conducted. So this is something in the past. Okay. I can also say so this actually depends on the context. Since it's not clear, I would have added, okay, I would add something to mention that this action has started and ended in the past, but I would say last month. Okay, last month we conducted a secondary data analysis. Okay, so it's a little bit not clear if there is no time expression. All right. Okay, subject verb agreement. We know that any sentence, okay, should have a subject and a verb in order to be complete. But those subject and verb should agree with each other. If the subject is singular, then the verb has to be in the singular form. If it's in the plural, it has to be in the plural form. Okay? So let's look at these cases to understand how we make a subject-verb agreement. So if a subject is singular, the verb must be singular and vice versa. Examples: he likes to read. This is a singular format. They have both brought food with them, and this is the plural format. I cannot say he like, and I cannot say they has. In this case, it will be a subject-verb agreement issue. Okay. When compound subjects are used and connected with and, we use a plural form. For example, my friend and I. So here we have a group of people, which is plural, go to university by car every day. Okay. If there is a singular subject and more than one verb, the verbs must agree with the subject. So his research, this is my subject. So all subjects are highlighted in red color, and the verbs are in blue. Establishes a new area in the field and opens a window on a totally different subfield. This is another verb. Okay. And opens, why did I use it in this format? Because I have one subject, his research, establishes, and opens. Okay. Sometimes students might forget what is the subject if the sentence is a little bit longer and they have two verbs, but they have to reread what they have written so they can make sure, okay, that each verb agrees with that subject. All right, in sentence 3, percentage is singular, so we should use has. Okay. Where is sentence 3? This one? Oh, the previous one. The percentage of part-time faculty in higher education has. Yeah, the percentage is singular subject, so we used has. Exactly. Yeah, thanks for highlighting this, brother Muhammad. Okay. The last issue here, or case, if a noun phrase comes between subject and a verb, the verb must agree with that. For example, the movie, as I've mentioned before, there might be long sentences or long details before we have the verb. So the movie here is a singular, so the verb must be in a singular format. The movie has. This is just an additional details that I'm adding here. Okay. So the movie, despite all the negative views or reviews, has grossed more than $100 million. Okay. Additionally, when two or more singular subjects are connected by or, use singular verb. For example, the coach or the manager. So these are two subjects in a singular format. Both decides. I cannot say that these are plural because they are two. No, because I have used or here. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's a plural. It's a singular, still singular. Okay, either or. So decides to bring the players from the field. The other case here, when two or more subjects are connected with or, okay, one singular and the other is plural. The verb here should agree, okay, with the closest one. Which one comes closer? The rule of proximity. So the closer gets the rule, okay, whether to be a singular or a plural. For example, the students or their teacher. So here we have plural and here we have a singular. So the closest one to the verb is this one, the teacher. Singular, then put a singular verb, was. If I switched the sentence the other way, putting the singular at the beginning or followed by plural, then we have to put were, because this is the closest one. Okay? And the last two cases I think we have here. Number 7 is each. We have certain words like each, each one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, etc., etc. Okay, are singular, and therefore the verb must be singular. All these has to follow, okay, this rule. For example, each of the committee's members, each one. So I'm mentioning each one of those members. Okay, so this is a singular format, then I will use as here. If I used either, also I will use as. Someone from, let's say, this classroom has or is. Somebody, nobody. Okay, all these should take the singular verb format. Exactly, the class was, were divided. The class sometimes, okay, if we mention the class as a single class, okay, so I would use was. If I'm mentioning the class with the whole students, I would use were. Okay, exactly. And the last thing here, uncountable nouns take singular verb, like education, for example, money, family, children. All should take the singular verb. Okay. All right. Some words are always come in plural, like, for example, earnings, goods, odds, surroundings, proceeds, contents, and valuables. Okay, they always come in this plural format. So here, I would say our goods are, the odds are. So I would use them in the plural format with are. And another case here, when we use there is and there are, okay, the subject follows the verb. There are some issues regarding the plan. So this is the subject here. It came after the verb. There is an urgent need. So this is a singular subject, and this is a plural one. Okay. There are some issues. There is an urgent need. One thing. And the last case here, collective nouns, like what? was mentioned by our colleagues. Here we have team, committee, family, group, and class. All these are called collective nouns. They always, okay, are considered singular. Yes, money and butter are. These are also collective nouns. But we still find some, irregularities. Some people might say the family are, and they might say the family is. Okay, so it depends. Sometimes, do I mean the members in the family, or do I mean the family as a whole? Okay, the class participates, my family loves. So here I'm pointing to the whole family and the whole class. Okay, so I'm using here a singular verb. Yeah, American is, I would say. Exactly. They use is. And British in the UK, they use are. So there are some, as I've mentioned, irregularities in academic writing depending on the country itself. So when you read a paper published in the UK, you might find some certain differences between another paper published in the US, which both are true. Okay, but you have to learn a specific rule, okay, and apply it, okay, in your paper. Don't mix between rules. Okay, you have to be consistent with your rules. Okay. Okay, here is a test for your knowledge. Okay, read those sentences and try to choose the best verb, okay, between brackets. So you have two formats, one for singular and the other for plural. I'll give you 2 minutes to go ahead and read. And once the 2 minutes are done or finished, I'll ask you to post your answers. Yes, I think we don't have too much slides. Yeah. We might take like extra 5 minutes. I mentioned that in the beginning, this is a very long topic, and I tried my best to tweak it to these most challenging problems. All right, can you share your answers? For number one, what did you choose? Was or were? Were. Okay, exactly, because we have interviewers. The last speech was singular. The researchers plan to compare the speech. Okay, this is a long sentence.
This
As well
is
as
this is
measures of
singular.
speech quality
The
is
third one is
related to
singular.
their
Yeah,
success rates.
it has to be singular. The third one.
Yeah, singular. Yes, I would say the researchers plan to compare the speech of the most and least successful interviewers to show how content of
Actually,
conversations.
the subject is content of conversation, so it has to be singular.
Yeah, content of conversations as well as measures of speech quality is how content is related to their success rate. So if you want to read it, okay, read it from here. Content of conversations, okay, is. All the other information are just extra. Too much pitch variation, sounds or sounds, and the last one is sound, exactly. Wonderful. All right, let's move on. We have parallelism, and as you can see here, parallelism, I have put this picture here, okay? And as you can see, apple, apple, and apple. So these are all the same. And this is also a photo of bomb. These are all the same. So when you mention list in a sentence, okay, each of those items should be the same. Examples. Okay, so use the same type of word, phrase, or clause for both or all items in a list. Okay, I'm not going to read all these examples because of the time is running. Harry likes walking, reading, and listening to music. This is true. Harry likes walking, reading, and listen to music. This is wrong because listen here doesn't follow the rule. Okay. Harry likes to walk, read, and listen to music. This is true. Okay. It should follow a parallel structure. Participants were told to study each picture carefully, comma, to turn the page when the bell rang, and that they should ask. So this is a problem here. So it should follow the same rule by changing it to ask.
Do we need to
Okay.
mention the commonalities of the items, how they
Exactly.
share the commonalities among them, and then we itemize them accordingly.
Exactly. All right. This is another example here. The author wishes his book to be sold, celebrated, and his readers to recommend it too. So these are not, okay, they are not following the same pattern. In order to correct it, I would say, and to be, okay, recommended by his readers, not his readers. Okay. Number 3, the teacher asked his students to write their assignment carefully, accurately, and in detailed manner. So detailed manner here doesn't follow this pattern, which is an adverb. So I would change it into thoroughly. Okay. So this is a test for you here. People who have a sense of purpose in their life tend to make healthier lifestyle choices and reporting feeling better about their health. Tend to make healthier lifestyle
Yes,
choices and reporting feeling.
reporting is ing form. Yeah, reporting is
Exactly.
ing form. Yeah, this has to be report.
Exactly. Study participants were not only surveyed as children, but also contacted as adults.
Contacted.
Yes, exactly. So let's look at the corrections here. So as Brother Muhammad said, reporting should be report, contact should be contacted because we have surveyed. Here we have running, jogging, and playing instead of the previous one, which is play. And the last one, okay, as you can see here, of physical activity, good nutrition, and good sleep. Okay, so they should follow the same pattern, the same rule. All right. Punctuation, we have comma and full stops, semicolon. Okay, so for the comma, so comma here, it is used to separate between a list of items like what we have seen previously. So for example, the university has decided to establish a parking area, a hospital, and a new mosque. Also, after conjunctions, like the government is planning to, I don't know, this is missing something, is planning to, let's say, reduce pollution, full stop. Therefore, so therefore here is a conjunction. I have to put a comma. Therefore, they decided to build their factories outside cities. Okay, so here we put it after conjunctions. I wish I could go and live in an isolated summer resort. This is, I think, a missing one. Anyways, this is an example. Between cities, province, and countries, like this article develops the curriculum of the English department in Imam University, comma, Riyadh City, comma, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So those both universities belong to the kingdom. Okay. Yes, sure. Semicolon, as we have seen, it separates two independent clauses. Okay. And it also comes before linking words like also, anyway, besides, consequently, etc., etc. An example here, the student started to have a feeling of what we can call cold feet. Semicolon, however, he began to give a class presentation. Okay, so this is somehow connected to the previous sentence. So instead of putting a full stop, we could put a semicolon. So these are some general advices on how to avoid grammar mistakes. Okay, so first of all, write on a regular basis. Try to write as much as possible. You might read and write at the same time. This is a good strategy. Try to summarize what you have read. Okay, always write with concentration. Okay, so focus on what you write. Additionally, read carefully every sentence you write. So sometimes you write, you keep going, but you don't reread what you have written. Okay, you might miss something, you might put something wrong. So rereading here is very important. Okay, it's like a proofreading. Okay, also proofread, let your teacher, tutor, or colleague read it for you. So this could be a good thing, okay, if you have very basic knowledge of academic writing. Give it to someone else who is experienced to support you. Give your writing a time, then go back to read it. So once you have stopped your writing, pause for one day, for example, and come back to it and read it. Okay. Typically, you will read it with a clear mind, and you will notice if it's written in a correct way or not. If you think this is not enough, then refer to a suitable reference book. You might go and find other resources, websites to help you with your academic writing. And also, of course, you can visit the Academic Writing Center in our university to get the right support. You might book an appointment. There are many resources that are posted there that will help you definitely to improve your academic writing. And these are some useful websites that I brought for you. Okay, this is Grammarly. Okay, you can post your writing there and it can proofread it for free. And sometimes you might pay extra money for additional services. Okay, but you can use the free version for basics. There is another link here, Learn English, okay, from the British Council. Okay, it's famous all over the world. You will find plenty of topics about grammar rules, and you can test yourself. There are multiple quizzes there that could help you find how good are you in academic writing. And finally, this is another website. It's called EnglishGrammar.org. It can provide lots of tests for beginners to advanced English levels, and also it provides downloadable material. All right. And this is the end of our workshop. And please, if you have any questions, just post them in the chat box, or you are free to use the mic.
As usual, a great workshop, a great presentation by Mr. Yahya Alghamdi. Thank you, Brother Yahya. And thank you all participants for all your participation and interaction and enrichment of our workshops during the whole year. This is, as you know, the last workshop for this year. So inshallah, looking forward to meeting you again and again during trimester 1. Sharing 3 links: the workshop evaluation form for those who are interested in getting their certificates, how to make an appointment, and if you want to reach the recordings of all the workshops, you can use our YouTube channel. Thank you again and again. Please do complete the evaluation form if you are interested in getting your certificate. Thank you.
And please, also, if you have any questions, you want me to go back to some slides that you couldn't understand, just free.
Yeah, you were brilliant, and you gave us revisit all our forgotten things. And it was like getting back to the basics of grammar. That was great.
I agree with you. Sometimes we need to go back, upward, refresh our minds. But I've mentioned that is the key to supporting our background knowledge, to improving our technical writing. All right, seems that we are all set. So these are the references for your information, and many thanks for your listening. And see you, inshallah, next academic year for more presentations, more workshops presented in the Academic Writing Center. And please don't forget to fill in the evaluation forms, okay, so you can get your certificate. And of course, this presentation is going to be uploaded online on our YouTube channel, so you can go back to it at any time.